Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner that has a product, service, or message that you truly believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind the scenes look at real world networking and marketing tactics while leveraging LinkedIn to get what you have in front of many more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's interview episode. I have an amazing guest for you guys. Those that are watching or listening that have maybe dipped their toes or have jumped into the deep end as far as real estate with, everything in all aspects, whether it's on the commercial side, the residential side, the investing side, fix and flip side, bird dogging, whatever you're deciding to do. But there's another aspect to it, which is hard lending. And there's a lot that we're going to kind of unpack in today's episode because we always talk about market saturation. Now, you can apply the term market saturation to any industry, whether it's coaching, consulting, especially real estate. And with the fluctuation of the market, no one knows where the interest rates are going to go. Hopefully, they're going to start coming down. What goes up must come down and vice versa. But we're going to kind of unpack all that and more. So Garrett Keillor, welcome to today's episode.
Thanks so much, Scott. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So there's a lot that we need to kind of cover in today's episode. But before we talk about everything that you're doing with Lenders Academy and moving into the future, let's rewind the tape first. And this is how I always like to begin each episode is if you could rewind the tape on your personal business journey and press stop at a particular moment that you feel was really the jumping off point or the catalytic moment for you that kind of has set you on this path to not only creating Lenders Academy, but everything that you're going to be doing in the future. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll start from when I was just 18, got my real estate license. Funny enough, my father has been a lender for nearly 45 years. So I got kind of that early on mentor-mentee relationship. He's been all business my whole life, which is good in a lot of ways, right? And so again, became a real estate agent when I was 18, saw the potential within real estate, high commissions, of course, lots of relationship building. We always said not my only skill, but my best skill was gift of gab. So was really good at it in the beginning, went to college, and then built a business that had nothing to do with real estate at first, funny enough, a nightlife business. Later, COVID demolished that business, and we ended up, and I was always kind of lending and throwing deals to my father and raising capital for our family's company, Keillor Capital, which I'll get into. But there was a point at which I realized, when I really did when I was just 100% lending, I really realized that not only were the commissions, super, super big without any risk to me, I found that people were handing me ideas, handing me their strategies, handing me their business plans when they came to me for, lending, right? When they came to me for a loan. So when it really clicked for me was when I started actually lending and investing in real estate, right? Then I saw the potential. Then I went down the tax savings route. And so I'll give you that specific example, that example you're asking for is when it all clicked. I had done, tens of millions of dollars in loan amounts already by the age of 24, 25. But I hadn't invested any of the dollars I made from my last business or the commissions I was bringing in currently. I then had a borrower reach out to me and say, hey, listen, I bought 2 houses in Scottsdale, Arizona. They're short-term rentals. I bought them for $450K and $550K, and they're each generating $10,000 and $12,000 a month. I go, a month? Right? Then it just clicked in my head, right? And I had heard of plenty of fix and flippers, right? Because that's mainly what we do, which is fix and flip lending. hard money lending. We also do long-term rental loans, but it's not based off the lender themselves, excuse me, the investor themselves. It's based off the project itself, right? So you don't have to go through the debt to income calculations. It's, hey, is it a good deal? Great, right? We'll give you funding. If you don't pay, the collateral is the property, it's not a personal guarantee, right? But I remember getting that specific borrower in, and he kind of led me down the path of like how he got into it. He learned from someone else, and super unsaturated and seemed like an amazing idea. So I dug into it. I dug into it myself. I ended up funding his loan. Um, and then moving on to building a pretty massive portfolio of short-term rentals within the Scottsdale market, right? So that's when it kind of clicked. Then I went down the rabbit hole of bonus depreciation and, paying little to no taxes using real estate, which I'm sure many listeners have either done or heard of. Um, at that point, it had really changed my life. I really realized how, um, you know, the United States is built off real estate portfolios, and the IRS pushes people to prop up, our real estate market. And so you have every advantage when you're walking into a business like this, in an industry like this, being that more real estate millionaires or millionaires in general have been created in the real estate space versus any other industry. So that might be a long answer, but I hope that answers.
No, it's
Uh,
great.
mm-hmm,
So obviously, much like you, my father kind of got me into entrepreneurship.
mm-hmm,
I was 19, just a year after you. But I always go back and I tell people that everything that I've been able to achieve either by myself or now with my wife and the companies that we have,
mm-hmm,
it wouldn't have been possible for the real world experience that I had as a teenager, running a business at 19 years old. Because, and again, I did go to, I'm not like telling people don't go to college. I was going to college, full time, locally in the Philadelphia area where I was living, but I was also running the business full time. So I'd go to school from 8 to 12, and then I would be at the gym from 1 to 9. And that was my life for a number of years. And it was more, honestly, I didn't need the degree. I've never done anything with it.
mm-hmm,
It was more to kind of like, you know, my parents wanted me to kind of finish what I started, which it was fine. Again, it did not take away from anything that I was doing because yes, I would get, the schooling and learn specific things.
mm-hmm,
Um, but it was more about that real world experience. I didn't actually declare a major until my senior year. I didn't know that. I thought I was a business major, but I was
mm-hmm,
in my advisor's office and she's like, congrats on, going into your senior year. And she goes, are you excited to graduate? And I said, yeah, I can't wait. And she goes, well, do you want to graduate? I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here. And she goes, well, she said, you do need a major in order to graduate. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm in the Fox School of Business. I'm a business major. She goes, no, you need to pick a focal area within the business school. And I
mm-hmm,
was like, okay. I'm like, have I come close to satisfying any of the degrees I could potentially get? And she's like, you're 2 classes away from an HR degree. I'm like, done, sign me up. So that's how I ended up having a bachelor's in HR. But
mm-hmm,
long story short, it was more of that real world experience that I got, running the gyms that we had and interacting with people and understanding profitability and, P&L and, all the things that go into that, much like, you at a young age. And my question is, do you feel now at the age that you are,
mm-hmm,
I don't want to say is an advantage, but the fact that you got your real estate license so young, literally right out of high school, do you feel like, and I always tell people this is true for me, do you feel like that not quote unquote being in the real world, so to speak, and being exposed to working for someone else and you were kind of like on that track of learning on your own, do you think that really, I would say, helped you not only with everything that you did prior to Lenders Academy, but especially going into Lenders Academy into the future?
mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I've always been an independent person and now thinking back to it, and I hadn't really ever thought about this, but I've never really had a job. I've never really worked um, for someone else. I think I was a lifeguard one year in high school, if that counts. But you know, at a certain point, you have to realize that there's probably a ceiling to working for someone else. Um, I didn't I didn't learn that the hard way. I learned, I just knew that I didn't want to take orders from anyone else. And I knew that, maybe my hour wasn't worth a certain dollar amount, at least definitely not 15 or 20 or 25, even 100 hours, even $100 for per hour felt small after you count up how many Uber Eats orders and stuff you have daily and what rent costs per day, even 5, 10 years ago, let alone now. But I hope that answers your question. I felt independent and wanting to run my own thing from the very beginning. Real estate's an industry in which you can kind of jump in with so much general knowledge out there, whether it's on YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere else, podcasts just like this. You can just absorb information pretty damn quickly, and it's all the same rules for everyone else, right? Now there's like strategies that people use that might be new or innovative, or have some technology aspect to it, or software aspect to it. I see a lot of people creating their own real estate softwares these days, but generally, I think real estate is the best way to learn about the world, to learn about financing, to learn about, right? It's such a simple financing, um, call it calculation, right? Your house is worth this much, you're allowed to borrow this much. Um, and this is how much you pay per month, right? And so on. But I hope that answers your question. I think that real estate, to put it in conclusion, real estate is an exceptional way to kind of go off on your own, make something for yourself, gain money, not get rich quick, but really just have a steady trajectory towards, financial freedom, towards wealth, right? And if you stay in it long enough, you're going to get there. That's
Yeah,
what I think.
it's a compounded effect, just like anything else, and that's why, my wife and I were very, very blessed and lucky when we bought our first home together. It was right before the pandemic.
Hmm.
Um, and we were able to refinance about 6 months later to like 2.9%. And, you know, we always, every quarter we meet with our financial advisor, and he, we like to have no debt. And we're like, hey, should we send off a bunch of extra payments? And he's like, no. He
Hmm.
goes, the bank does not like you right now. You are literally robbing them blind. Just milk the 2.9% for the duration of your mortgage. And again, there's been a lot of houses that have sold in our development, which is, almost doubled the value of our home since we've been here, which we're, really excited about.
Yeah.
But going back to something that you said, never having a job like you, yeah, I had little odd. I worked at a beer distributor and I worked at a golf course. And I always tell people that I've been psychologically unemployable since day one. So I don't know what it's like to work for someone else. Like I would not like that would be putting me into like a box, and like I just would not work that way.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
so my next question is obviously the different facets of real estate, whether it's on the investing side or the brokerage side or the agency side. There's
Yeah.
this concept of hard lending. And for those that are listening to this that maybe have heard of it, but they're not quite sure exactly what that entails, could you, talk to the audience a little bit about what hard money lending actually is and how it all
Mhm.
works?
Yeah, 100%. So, and then I'll dip into Lenders Academy, my program. Um, Let me start with Keillor Capital. Keillor Capital, like I said, was a company that my father created and then I partnered on later on. We do both private money lending and hard money lending. So, what private money lending is and the difference between the two is that private money lending, we physically go find unique deals and then we physically go raise that capital from high net worth individuals, right? So, in that business alone, we do something around 60 to $80 million a year in deployed capital, right? So, 1/10 of $1 billion is typically what we're raising, physically me or him, We're finding people to go lend that money to, right? Now that business is for um, more unique deals, more unique borrowers, larger loan amounts. We're talking $5 million loans, 10, 20, $30 million loans, 30 to be the highest to date that we've ever done. And we'll look for stuff like just random stuff, construction. Let's say in Tacoma, Washington, maybe it's a Christian school in Tacoma, Washington. It's an actual deal. We did, in 14 days, we did a refinance cash out for a divorced couple. Funny enough that, the man needed to pay off the wife. We got him $2.5 million off what is a $5 million property that they own free and clear so that he could keep the property, right? Another one would be a shopping center across from the Coliseum in LA. And that has been, nearly a 4-year long loan with multiple capital calls and multiple construction draws, right? So we do a lot of that stuff. We do luxury fix and flips. We do all of the business lending for savvier, bigger real estate investors trying to create maximum profits, right? In A-tier markets, right? There's something that business misses. And this is where I go to what is our hard money brokering business, right? So that is all us being the direct lender. Now, there's a bunch of larger lenders, funds, family offices that will take on more risk than our private investors and therefore give me a credit box. And they just want to do the simple, hey, $500,000 fix and flip, go give a first-time investor a shot, and we'll take on the risk. They're doing $1 billion in loans a month, right? So they're much larger, and therefore they have capacity to fund all these types of loans, right? Whether it's construction, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, fix and flips, luxury fix and flips up to $2 million, right? So you can see where the buckets are. Private money, larger, more unique. Hard money, at least on the brokering side for us. And both are kind of interchangeable. People use the same word for both, but you'll see where hard money comes in sort of a cookie cutter box, right? And so that led me to creating Lenders Academy. Now, Lenders Academy, because I couldn't teach people the private money side, it's too hard for someone coming into this business, not knowing anything about real estate, or even knowing a lot about real estate. Like my dad has done something really amazing, but he's also been in it for 45 years and he's managed, $1 billion in transactions per month for many, many, many years, maybe decades, right? So it's really hard for someone to walk in to that type of business and raise tens of millions of dollars. Where on the other side, I was like, well, I want to teach people. I think that there's a huge opportunity for individuals. And this program started off as actually a for the people I was hiring. It started off as like a educational training situation for the people I was hiring in-house. It later turned into what I think is like an amazing, hey, business in a box. You go off on your own. We charge a small fee, but you basically go create your business, right? And all of the lenders I spoke about are all wanting more brokers. They need more deals in. Of course, it's a commission-only job, but we teach things start to finish so that anyone can walk into the business and have $1 billion funding them and just go look for borrowers, right? Which is the most important thing. They got to look for deals. What do they need? They need the education. They need how to find those borrowers, and they need the money backing them, right? And so that's kind of how Lenders Academy came about. And then what we've realized was that we've gained huge success with people who are already in real estate. Why? Because real estate agents, are in a business where, because of HGTV and selling Sunset and all these things, so many people have jumped in. And they call them like COVID agents. I forget what they call them, but they call the people who have jumped in. There was like millions of real estate agents that have jumped in and now decided they're going to be a real estate agent. It is far too saturated. And at one point during COVID, there were more agents in the industry than there were houses on the market. So how's that possible when everyone's percentage is 2.5% of sales price, right? So really, really crazy situation. With our program, agents can become the agent. They can also become the lender. They can earn double on a transaction, or they can offer their clients their agency, you know, uh, them being an agent, or they can be their lender separately, right? Then there's real estate wholesalers, which we've had massive success with, being that, if the audience isn't familiar with what real estate wholesaling is, someone's going to go look for a distressed property and wrap that thing up in a contract and sell it to an end fix and flipper, right? Well, that person has the perfect situation for becoming a lender, right? Because now they can go to their end buyers, wrap up a property, deliver it to them, and say, hey, listen, I'm going to earn 15 grand on this assignment fee, but if you want the deal, right? I got 3 other guys looking at this deal. If you want the deal, you have to use me as the lender, right? Now they're earning double fees, right? So we've had huge success with both agents and wholesalers. Now you got to look at someone like me. I've been a real estate investor for quite a long time now. We built up nearly a $12 million portfolio of long-term and short-term rentals. Now, I did all of my own loans, um, whether I brokered them out or borrowed from Keillor Capital investors. I did all of my own loans, right? I was able to keep my finger on the pulse of where rates are and where they were going, right? So I always had cutting edge rates. If the audience isn't familiar, mortgage brokers will up the rate on you and earn a little bit more percentage from the lender that they're, selling their money, right? So I was able to make sure that never happened. I was also able to cut out any origination fee, which sometimes can be 2-3%, right? On $1 million property, that's 20 and 30 grand. And then of course, processing fees is usually like $1,000 to $3,000. It just gets thrown in there just because they can, right? So out of $12 million in real estate, I probably saved $200,000, $300,000 in fees. Maybe more because of increases in rate if someone sold a higher rate to me, right? So those are the benefits of Lenders Academy, I think, and it's important for people to understand that. But I know that was a long thing, but that's the entire birth of Lenders Academy.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, is there a demographic of people that it's better suited for? Like, is it for beginners, like someone that wants to get into real estate investing, or maybe someone that's seasoned? Like, is
Yeah.
there something for everyone in the academy?
Someone can walk in without any real estate experience and be okay. Does it help? Right. I've just seen massive success with people who are already in real estate because it just clicks, right? They're like, oh, wait, I can earn double fees on every transaction. Oh, wait, I can do 2 jobs, but it's in the same industry, right? So someone with zero knowledge of real estate can walk in, become a lender by the end of the course, and continue with the ongoing support. Someone who's a wholesaler or a real estate agent can walk in, probably knock out the first 2 modules super simply because it's more general, and then get into the meat of things, the stuff that they don't understand, right? Um, by the way, the Lenders Academy is not just, I didn't want to be like a guru. You see all these gurus who either sell a course or community that either the opportunity is fled or it's too saturated, right? I wanted to not do a cross sell, an upsell, downsell. I didn't want to do private training. I just wanted to create something that was a one-time lifetime cost. It wasn't yearly, and that had forever ongoing support. Because my goal is to build a community of 1,000 brokers, right? Not earn a couple bucks on some courses, right? Um, Anyways, it's a bigger picture thing for me.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, it's serving people the way that they should be served. And I think I always tell people, and my wife agrees, the money shows up when the impact is felt. And,
Mhm.
the people that are just chasing another dollar and just trying to, I mean, there's a bubble for everything. And, the course creators and the memberships that really aren't delivering on what they should be. I mean, once there's a crack in that foundation, the rest kind of topples in on itself.
Yeah.
So I appreciate, what you've created to help people, whether they have no knowledge, limited knowledge, or a lot of knowledge, and
Mhm.
it can get them to that next level. So before we start to wind down, I know that you don't have a crystal ball, but if
Mhm.
you did, where do you see the real estate world going? Not just from an investment perspective, because again, there's multiple channels and multiple ways to
Mhm.
create a significant real estate portfolio. So where do you see things on the investment side? Where do you see things on the seller side?
Mm.
And lumping into that, where do you see things on the buyer side? Because you hear uh from everywhere there's a lot of people that want to buy, but inventory is low, interest rates. So where do you see things going in the next 1 to 3 years?
Yeah, it's funny. I'll start with macro, right? Within the year, I mean, it's my opinion that Trump's going to win the election. Uh, it's been clear that Fed is going to drop rates regardless of that happening. I think rates will go down by 1 to 2%, which will spur buying and get people closer to the purchase prices that they've been told their properties have been worth the last 5 years, right? I'm buying a condo in Miami right now, $1 million condo, just partially because I want to be there half the year. And it's crazy that people are asking for $1,100 per square foot, and some are okay with taking 800, right? There's a dissidence. Some people are holding on to properties because they think eventually they'll get that purchase price and seeing if someone will buy it in the meantime. But there's definitely a disconnect between what sellers think their home is worth versus where buyers are buying properties. And of course, there's call it less consistent and less knowledgeable people paying those asking prices. But I think there's just a massive gap that needs to be closed either by increases in rents, which damn, how much higher can rents go? Or decreases in rates, um, to allow sellers to get that number they want and buyers to get the leverage power, that loan power to get them to there. So I think once that happens, it's going to be great. To answer your other question, um, it feels like there's so many different strategies that are coming to birth, whether it's short-term rentals. Of course, that was kind of overdone over COVID. Whether it was senior housing, whether it was midterm rentals, nurse housing, corporate housing, right? People are chopping up apartments even here in New York and in San Francisco to get to rents, to get the price per square foot that's basically on steroids, right? Um, Doing these crazy models for multifamily and single family. Um, that's where I see things going, at least on the more innovative side. Uh, it seems like there's a new idea every time, and it's not just a new software platform. It's how they're chopping up the home, who's their target market, and it's going to be exciting to see, you know, uh, where those creative strategies head, I think. Hmm.
I think there's again advancements in everything, and just like I said, kind of, midway through the episode, what goes up must come down and vice versa. And I think um, there's always going to be peaks and valleys when it comes to interest rates, which again, what people need to realize, it doesn't just affect the buyer and seller market, it
Hmm.
also affects the investment market because you see that there's a lot of people when interest rates are such at a low rate, that's when a lot of things get snagged up and then turned into rental properties. So, again, there are less people doing investing right now, but to your point, they're going the route that you're providing because you can control what rates you want to lend out and the ROI there. So there's always going to be advantages and things to take, obviously, yourself to the next level, whether it's your real estate portfolio or if it's a fix and flips or whatever you're looking to do. So,
Hmm.
Garrett, as we start to wind down, before I get to my final question, if
Hmm.
the interest was piqued with someone listening or watching this episode about, you know, hard money lending, real estate investing, and they're
Yeah.
really they want to kind of dig into and maybe find out a little bit more about you and Lenders Academy, what's the best way for people to find out more?
Yeah, totally. If you're super serious about, wanting to learn lending, whether it's hard money lending, private money lending, any of that, happy to go through and do a one-on-one phone call with you at lendersacademy.io. You can sign up for a call with me directly. It's not going to be a salesperson. It is me. Secondly, if you guys want free value, please, please, please follow me on like YouTube. It's just my full name, Garrett Keillor, or Instagram, Lenders Academy. In those two places, you'll find a lot of free value. And I've got stuff coming out every single day.
Awesome. All that information obviously will be in the show notes, the description of this episode, and the email that goes out to everyone. So, Garrett, final question before we sign off. What does success truly mean to you?
Got it. Financial freedom. I know it's a cheesy statement and everyone uses it, but I was just talking about this with a friend. When you start off, you got all the time in the world and you got no money. Then when you're chasing money, you've got no time, but a full schedule, and you're not allowed to do anything else. Then finally, you reach your goal, you've got money, and now you've got, freedom in general. You've got time. That's what success is to me, is having that time, having that money to pursue, whether it's your passions, projects that you want to invest in, and just life in general.
I think above all else, it's riding that wave that you just talked about. When you're young, you got your whole life ahead of you and no money, and then there's going to be a part of your journey where you're going to be having to spend early mornings and late nights really building your dream. And my wife and I are very blessed right now to only have to work 3 days a week. It wasn't always like that. We were really busting it for a while, and that is not the price that you pay, but that's the cost of admission. Like to get to that end goal, you're going to have to give in order to get. And sometimes you got to give some of your time to get your freedom for the rest of your life. So I could not agree more. Garrett, just want to thank you for coming on here today and just raising so much attention and awareness, not just around the real estate industry, but in hard money lending, private lending, all the things, and the multiple ways and facets that people can grow financial wealth. It's not just getting a job and working there for 35 years, retiring, and then dying. It doesn't have to be that way. There are multiple routes to go, and I just really appreciate how you educated the audience today, and just really grateful to have you on the show. So thanks again for being here.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So again, all the information about Garrett, his YouTube channel, Instagram, obviously his website, again, will be in the show notes, the description of this episode, and obviously in the email that you received to listen to today. As always, please support the podcast, subscribe, leave us a rating and review. Let us know what you loved and what you would like to hear more of. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your days. Love and gratitude, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. If you could, please support this podcast by hopping over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any place that you're listening to this. Leave us a rating and review. Let us know what you loved most and what you would like to hear more of. But also, if you would like to learn how to take your business to the next level, whether it's using LinkedIn or working directly with myself and Nancy in our intimate group coaching programs, you can head over to www.thetimetogrowth.com or scottaaron.net to learn more. Thank you again for your support, love and gratitude, and I'll talk to you soon.